I'm a product of an IIT. I'm also a product of working at some of the top institutions of higher learning. But I feel that education is at a point of inflection, especially engineering education is at a point of inflection, in the sense that it is really time to reconceptualize how we deliver an engineering education. It is a grand fusion of a lot of things that I have felt were important to be addressed.
There always has been a gap between learning and doing. And the gap at MIT, we bridge it by doing learning by doing, as opposed to learning and doing. But I think we need to jump that, because what's happening today is that if you look at the startups around, the major startups, which are now major companies, the innovation landscape, a lot of it is the doing happens inside the university. And so blurring those lines and turning education into an institution where agency is central, where self-efficacy is central, where the line between work and simulated work, which is what education is erased entirely. This is the new frontier. And I'm very hopeful that Plaksha will get away from the old world where you're prepared to go do a job to the new world where you're learning while you're doing the job, sort of, in a way that is transformative. So hopefully we'll be able to take great young talent and transform it to be the next successful executive, next successful engineer, inventor, entrepreneur. And I think Plaksha has a unique opportunity to do that.
What the outcomes of engineering education are, you often hear this notion of a T-shaped individual, right? Someone who has a deep vertical of technical skills, and then it's the market or the employers who then are saying, no, you need these additional things. And so you build the horizontal part of the T. The vertical part is, you take your technical classes. And I think the idea of this T, while it's very suitable, the T is a classic example of traditional thinking, where you don't change the vertical too much, and you try to add on things to the horizontal. You need these skills, you need some language skills, you need communication skills. You sort of add that on. What I think Plaksha is doing is, instead of a T, it's making it into all integrated, where the professional skills, whether it's hands-on learning, whether it's understanding technology, learning by doing, whether it's self-awareness, entrepreneurship, all these things are completely integrated. You don't know what the vertical is, you don't know what the horizontal is, it's all integrated in everything you do. And it happens all the way through the education. It's not only about engineers going and working for a corporate sector. It's also about those who are doing startup companies, spin-offs right after. It's also for those who go and work in the government. It's also for those who go and work for social enterprises. That's the new landscape. It's not the old one. And that's what Plaksha, that's what's exciting, I feel, about Plaksha. We focus on computer science and AI, for example. It's not just an AI and CS degree. It also explores, where does natural intelligence begin and end? Where is AI, how does it best complement what natural intelligence does? How can we learn from natural intelligence, improve AI, and so on.
Second of the two majors is really broadly in this area of cyber-physical systems, intelligent machines, robotics. And the backdrop, of course, is the big technological change. The world's changing. IoT, wireless networks, 5G, all of it is changing how we think about machines. Arvind talked about it's not we against the machines, it's not we and the machines, but how do you really think about machines which can augment human capabilities, human not only cognitive capabilities, but also physical capabilities. And so the second major on CPS and robotics, cyber-physical systems. The cyber-physical systems is a funny word, but really what it means is systems even traditional engineering systems, but with a cyber heart. That's really what it means. Even cars today are really, there's rubber and glass, but the heart is completely is new machines.
If you were to start engineering education today, you probably would not create departments based on the principles that we used 100 years ago. The machines of 100 years ago are not the machines we use today. So, for example, if you take a Tesla electric car, it is mechanical, but it is IoT inside out. It's basically a gigantic battery with 4 wheels attached to it and an iPad computer. That's basically what it is. And it is connected to the cloud. Which department would cover that today? So I'm going to be a little bit nerdy here and say the eigenvectors of modern engineering, and we're all IIT people here, so I can get away with this, are not the eigenvectors of 100 years ago. And I think it is very visionary of Plaksha to pick, for example, data and economics together, right? And data science, because that's what a lot of marketing is today. It's using data to make economic decisions as opposed to just doing data for the sake of data. Similarly, biological engineering. Today in the face of COVID, we're doing virology, we're doing vaccines, we're doing contact tracing. It's all in one big thing, right? So I really like the eigenvectors that Plaksha has picked because that is the future. I think we're rooted in the past in paradigms that will be, in my view, quickly outdated. MIT's, as I said, scrambled and created interdepartmental labs, but the new schools should go a different path.
We keep speaking of 21st century engineering. Turns of centuries are very artificial dates and timelines. What's more important to measure is when do changes in mindsets of humanity happen? Those are typically different timescales and tend to be unpredictable. I think the COVID crisis is going to we are seeing this all around. There's a shift in mindset amongst people. It's a huge shift in terms of what people are going to consider to be important. Is there going to be a refocusing on going back to grand challenges? This idea of we have one Earth that's very fragile. Is that going to be the relying theme? But it's just a lot of, I think, inward looking. How we can make society better. More resilient. It's a change. It's a clear shift in mindsets, and that's the reason why, whether or not it's the start of a century, it's the start of a new mindset for humanity. It will be, and so it's a very unique time to launch a university that can adapt to that reality looking ahead. What do I hope? I hope this group is so successful in navigating this changed mindset that the globe is going to have, that they're going to produce the change makers. They are going to have the impact on society that we all hope they do. And hopefully the education at Plaksha plays a small role in helping their talents achieve that, in empowering them to do it.
COVID 2019, 2020 is such a crazy year. 5 to 10 years are going to pass in 1 year. Lenin said, sometimes nothing happens for decades and sometimes decades happen in weeks. I can't compete with him, but my version of that is that the 21st century began not in 2020, it begins in 2021. With the entire population of the planet that spent a year training for a new way of living. In the process, we've reduced CO2 emissions. We're making giant strides in biotech, as Arvind talked about, right? We are inventing a new way of life, and it's all gone interdisciplinary. So my view is, it's a combination of circumstances, but I think if there was a time to start a new university, it to be now. And of course, no one could have predicted COVID, but you took the precaution of starting the planning a few years ago. So this is the new generation for a new generation of the world. So yeah, I mean, I think that everything changes, and I think they'll be on the ground floor designing the new world.